Oh,
Hello, Kimberly of Embody Light.
good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How's our boy? I love you, baby boy. I bet
Mm.
that irritates you. You're not a baby anymore.
He says we don't really get irritated over here like you would. And he says, I love you also, Mom, you know that. But he says we don't really get irritated over here. It just feels like an endearing term.
Well,
So
good, because I'm going to take advantage of it. Because when you were here, boy, I would try to get you to sit on my lap when you were, I don't know, 17 or 18, and you weren't going to have none of it. But it's okay. Now,
yeah. So should we start right off? He's saying the topic of today is he wanted to talk about police brutality. And his mom and I have been talking about that for a while, bringing that through. And Erik kept telling me it's not quite time yet. It's not quite time yet. And so what he's saying, there's so many pieces to it and reasons why it happens that he really needed to kind of set the background with some of the earlier channelings, like particularly like about post-traumatic stress and that kind of thing, because it all plays into it. And so he, in our last episode, we met Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael also comes through and works on this cause too, as he is a big protecting force on this planet. And so after our last channeling, Erik and Archangel Michael worked with me to help me prepare for this one quite a bit. And so one of the questions I had, to show you how these two beings, Erik and Michael, work together. It's so interesting. One of the questions I have was, of angelic energy, and to Michael, how can an angel impulse us to do something, or how can they come into our body to give us the strength to do something?
Yeah.
And so that's a difficult concept for, I don't know if I should say difficult, that's not the right word. It was challenging for me to get the information Michael was trying to convey. So Erik, being he, had a life on earth not all that long ago, was able to bring another being in who could demonstrate that to me. So he goes and gets, of all people, Whitney Houston, who she made the plan, and she talked to me just like a normal person. She's like, hey girl. Made the point of, because I would resonate with her music. You know how some music you'll resonate with and it'll just kind of seem to go through you?
Oh, no. Oh, the what do you call it? The soundtrack to the movie The Bodyguard.
Yes. She's
Love that.
saying
My son Lucas,
exactly.
I love that.
And,
Let's
and
not
so
sing
what?
together. What do you want to sing, Kim? Let's do it.
Oh no, I don't sing. It would we'd lose viewers if I started.
We already have now.
So, but she said, you know how when I will sing a song and you'll really feel it in your body, but then I'll hit that certain pitch or that certain verbiage that really sings to you, and it just sends chills through you.
Yeah.
She said that's what the angels do. They just put a charge on your energy, and they sometimes can kind of come into your energy field. So Erik's really kind of acting, he's really the intermediate between this energy that's kind of a little more challenging to understand, the angelic energy, and what we can understand.
Yeah,
So
he dumps it down
really
for us, right?
yeah, he's really that bridge, and he knows, he finds the perfect person who can bring you into information you can understand into your field. So yeah, so if we want to start on the police brutality, let's start with, okay, there were several points, and I did make some notes to help me remember here
Well, before
too.
we start, I'd like to tell Erik's brush with police brutality. You know, when he was little, he really wanted to be a cop. For a while, I can't remember how long, but I was being treated for hepatitis C, and it was just really, my blood count dropped in half. It was horrible. I had to go to the hospital, and I got hepatitis C not because I'm shooting up heroin, but because I was putting a central line in a comatose, drug addict, and he woke up and poked me, and we didn't know about hepatitis C. It was called non-A, non-B, and so anyway, years later, I found out I had it. Anyway, Eric was driving home from school to meet me in the hospital, but he ran out of gas, and he had two people from school that he didn't know at all. They they were stranded on a street right next to this park, and police car comes, and he's thinking, "Oh man, this is like Hedwig Village, our little 1 square mile uh, neighborhood that has its own police force, own fire department, own city hall, and all that." And they're really nice. So he thought, "Oh, goody, they're like Hedwig Village. He's probably just going to help me out with just a gallon of gas or something, and just to get me there." So he comes out of the car and says, "Hi," like that. And oh my God, they drew their guns. And the other guys fled into parts unknown, the two other passengers. And what they did was they left, I think it was cocaine, a little packet of cocaine
Oh
on
no.
between the passenger and driver's seat. It wasn't, he never did stuff like that. I mean, he liked pot, but he rarely got to do that either, but he mostly liked cigarettes. Uh, and so, boy, they just said, "Where are you?" They handcuffed him, and they said, "Have you ever been jacked by a cop before?" And then he started struggling because he had been jacked by. He was camping, and one of his friends was arguing over the choice of music. Stupid. The guy's kind of weird. And he starts beating up on Eric, and Eric calls the cops. The cops come, and they take both their wallets and leave. So he was robbed by two cops. So he
Oh
already
my
had,
gosh.
was paranoid. And the guys were like smashing his head into the pavement, and they took a mag light and beat him in the face. The pictures are terrible. And he said, I don't even know these guys." And so they put his hands behind his back in handcuffs or zip ties or something, and they raised the hood of the cop car little bit by little bit to put some stretch on the, and eventually he started feeling blood running down his wrist. Well, it wasn't really blood. It was damage to the median nerve. It felt like it was dripping. So, and of course, there were no charge. I mean, they charged him, but they arrested him, but nothing came from it. But he still had an arrest record, even though he was proven innocent. And so we had to pay so much money for lawyers and to get the record sealed and all that because of that asshole. And I think, I'm wondering, Eric, that's Officer Hayward. I can't find him, but I'd love to. If anybody knows him from the HPD, then let me know. But that guy, I mean, was that, because that was right before you died. Was that a contributing factor, the disappointment that you had in the Men in Blue?
He said it was a contributing factor to the overall
Yeah.
feeling of unworthiness he had.
Yeah.
And he says, and I had asked Eric too. I had told him, as the subject came up, because I was aware of it, and my son had an incident as well, but nothing to that degree. And I had told Eric, you can't give me the details because I'm going to have trouble. I'll get upset. I'm going to have trouble bringing the message through. So that was good that I didn't get it till now, because I would have struggled with that. I would have had trouble with it. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And he said, that police officer in particular, and he said it is actually a very, very, very small percentage of police that do go into being a police officer because they like to bully and they like to control, and now they have a license to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too. It seems like there's two groups. There's the one that maybe they got bullied in middle school, I don't know, but they just want to take vengeance on the world. But the others are doing it because it's a higher calling.
Right. And so what he's saying, and that was the first point he brought up with me about this. He's saying, when, like all of us do, when an individual chooses a career, often they'll do it because of something in their childhood. Maybe they saw a fireman saving a neighbor or something, and that was a hero to them, so that inspires them. But maybe it was from a trauma. Sometimes you'll hear police will have chosen to go into that field because maybe there was a murder in their family, and so from then on they wanted
Yeah.
justice, that type of thing. So he says, so a lot of times they will choose to work through their wounds through their careers, as we all do. But he says, depending on where that individual is in their ability to discern what's going on is based on if they're healed and integrated or if they're still replaying those old wounds. Because he's saying if it's, say they had something horrific happen in their family, a murder or something,
Yeah.
and that policeman has forgiven that and integrated that, that would be, there is no good or bad, but that would be, for lack of a better term, a good, favorable thing, because that would give them a unique insight that someone else wouldn't have. But say you have someone who had that same situation in their family and it wasn't integrated and it wasn't forgiven, and they may not even necessarily know that, but it's constantly eating at them. Well, when they are faced with a similar situation and vibration, they're going to react from the place of that wound, whether that be a 7-year-old boy or whatever. So that affects their discernment. And he's saying, so when they're in those flight and fight responses, when it's when, say, like a criminals, they're afraid they're going to pull a gun on them, he said that's when they lose the ability to be discerning. He's also saying there needs to be more screening as far as their psychological abilities to be a police officer,
Yeah, really extensive
because
psychological. Yes, absolutely. Don't they do that? So they don't do that, or maybe not
not
as easy as they should.
not in enough depth, and he's telling me they're not looking for the right things. They need to look at that officer's ability to respond a little more closely,
Oh,
because he's saying, like, say what if you had a police officer that was just, say, from another country, that was maybe where they police themselves, maybe a lawless country, they police themselves, and this isn't abnormal, where they might sleep with a gun or a knife under their pillow to protect from getting robbed or their family being harmed, or many things. So that individual immigrates here and takes the training in that, but they have never dealt with that internal fear that something is going to come and get them. And so when something happens, they just react without having the discernment to really know, is this a situation, that I need to fear or not to fear? So that's a big part of it. The other,
maybe all officers before they go out on the beat should meditate. They should go through like a group meditation.
that would be excellent. And Eric's saying too, the next thing that he's bringing up is, so, and this would happen to a police officer over time, where they get hardened, where they start to lack compassion and that type of thing. They don't have the ability any longer to be empathetic. That type of thing can happen. They burn out, more or less, he says. Yes. And two, so the other part of it is, so they've seen all these crimes, so that's what's in their field, their belief system. And as you know, what you believe and what you have emotion behind is what you create. So those police officers will draw that situation to themselves. They'll put themselves in alignment, they'll resonate with it. Same with an individual, a regular person who's out driving around like Erik or whatever. And they're talking specifically about the African American race. Their children, they have seen it, and Archangel Michael's coming through with this. He's saying there's been a deliberate attempt to portray this over and over and over again in the media, where this racial disharmony, where a black young man is shot or pulled over and this and stuff. They play it so much that
Whoa.
Ordinary citizens see that, and it becomes a part of their reality and a part of their fear. So then they go out without knowing it and attract it to themselves. Because Eric's saying cops get like a sixth sense. You could be driving past them down the road, and if you fear, they'll pick that up. But
Yeah.
they might not interpret it right. They might interpret it that, oh, they have drugs in the car. They're going to commit a crime. They just committed a crime. So they might look for a reason to pull you over, where another time they're just going to ignore you. So he's saying that's a big part of it, and that's been put in place by the global elite, as we discussed the last time, because what a better way to control the population than to
hate each other.
right.
God, they don't show the many times that white males are arrested.
Right, they don't deliberately.
Black cop, arrests or arrests the black or white for that matter. They don't show that because they want that race card. They want us to hate each other because hate is so much easier to control. Because
Fear,
hate, you give away your power, but with love you retain your power, and it's difficult to control people who live in love and light.
that is exactly it, Eric's saying.
And the media people, they're part of that global elite.
They are. Well, not, and it may not be your average newscaster, Eric's making the point, but it's people higher up above them that are controlling what they can put out. Yeah. And he's saying then the other thing to really take into consideration that has contributed to this is the violence in movies and video games, because he's saying now we've got a generation of young cops that have grown up playing video games. Not all of them, but that was actually put in place by the global elite again to make young, not all just young men, but specifically young men, to desensitize them to this violence. Number one, he's saying it makes better soldiers. And number two, to create global chaos so that they don't have the empathy to stop themselves before they pull that trigger or commit that deed. And the other point they've made too is just some to do with the breakdown of the family, where the fathers aren't involved and there's not positive, nurturing, loving, touching by, a father to his son. And this isn't specifically to pick on men, because some women do this too, but it is primarily with men. So, and Eric just saying, along with Michael, we could trace this back to very early civilization on this planet where there was like warring families. One was in the African nation, and was the other, I believe he's saying, like around Egypt.
Yeah, I'm sure the Middle East too, but were there
many warring families, but this specific
feuds, like family
specific is a family feud between these two groups.
Or tribes. They don't have to be family, I guess. Warring tribes. The Jets to the Sharks. Yay.
Right. And so he's saying until people can find, well, first going back what he's saying, if you have been affected like this, and if you are able to forgive the situation and bring light to it, he said, if you heal that within yourself, that's a huge ripple effect for this planet. It's a huge healing if you carry.
What should we do then, Eric, to an Archangel Michael? Archangel, what was the thing I always say? I don't know.
You were telling us last time. Yeah, I can't remember. You had it all messed up. I remember that.
I don't always say Archangel Michael. I go, I don't know. I can't remember. Good, because I don't want to say it and mess it up all the time. So is there any ritual we should go through en masse to create this ripple effect?
Well, he is saying the most important thing you can do is, to forgive.
Okay.
And he's saying, remember, and he's saying, like, say a mother who's had that happen to her child, or a person who's had that happen to them, they're going to have a lot of bitterness and carry a lot of resentment. and they're going to keep broadcasting that out in their field. And so similar things can happen. And then when they start having children, that'll be in their field, that potential. So he's saying to forgive wipes that possibility off your slate.
Yeah.
It makes it so that it's not even possible, and it's very empowering. And when, Eric's making the point too, as this planet ascends, more 5D energy on the planet, these kinds of things eventually will stop happening. For one thing, the whole policing will change. There won't be the need for it like there is now.
Yeah.
And, you just won't, this will be seen, like other things we've talked about before, at some point in our future, it'll be seen as just barbaric.
So I need to sort of try to forgive Officer Hayward or Hayworth. I think it's Hayward. Haywood? Hayward. I don't know. I need to try to forgive him.
Yeah, maybe. So then when Michael and Erik worked with me after our last channeling, they helped me to write a real short meditation and forgiveness prayer. So we'll do this at the end.
Oh,
but I know with my son, when that happened to him, I had just done my hypnotherapy training. And so we had a self-hypnosis thing we were doing, and one of it was around forgiveness. So I'm doing it, and while you're doing it, you get these thoughts, memories, pictures, or sensations. Well, I keep seeing a cop car driving by. So I just said, okay, gave up, and I started my forgiveness process, which for me, the way I do it is every time I think of it, I pray for the other individual, send them love and light, and eventually it just leaves my field and it's like a non-existent.
Good.
But I just have to let go and do it.
Yeah. How is he doing with it?
He's, he was just in with the wrong people at the time and kind of got caught up. And for him, it wasn't nearly as drastic, but I think for him, it made him see that, okay, I want to go a different way in my life.
Yeah.
These
So maybe
friends of mine are not making good choices. And actually, in this incident, he hadn't even done anything wrong.
Oh my God.
It was the friends, like Eric's, it was the friends. But the friends got away, and, so he's okay with it now, I think.
43% of males in America have been arrested. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
They need to be able to scrub that off their records, because then you can't get a job, you can't get an apartment. I mean, it's in your background check that you were arrested. It doesn't say, oh, but he was completely innocent.
Right.
It's horrible. And even felons who get out of prison, why do they need to drag that with them forever so they can't get forward in life? Why can't they just, in 5 years of good behavior, 2 years or whatever, it's completely sealed from their record. Nobody can see that they were ever stepped foot in prison. What do you think about that, Erik or Archangel?
Well, what they're saying is that would be, and he's saying those are things that can come through, but he's saying that would take somebody having the ability to really know, because some of those people, especially where they're almost borderline mentally ill, but they're just so intelligent, they would find a way to trick that they had turned the other leaf, turn the corner, that they had made amends and were going to be productive members of society. So he said that would be a very good idea, but there would need to be a way to determine, who is trying to trick you and who is not likely to reoffend.
Well, it seems like they would be more likely to go back to a life of crime if they can't get a job.
Right, exactly.
He's an apartment or whatever. I mean, I think
he's saying there needs to be a real supportive, restrictive kind of program to get them back into society.
Yeah.
The people that really can do it, because he says he's saying like millions of people sitting in prison that do not belong to be in prison. Nonviolent crimes, things they did when they were young and stupid, that type of thing. So he's saying the whole system really needs a big overhaul, and that is his plan to send. Some of that's just naturally going to happen. But
Because brains don't fully mature, including the part of the brain that's involved in discernment and judgment, until you're 25 years old at least. Some people
25. Yeah. And Erik is saying 28 too is kind of pivotal. People are, I don't know if he's not saying so much for brain development, but he's kind of saying that's really more that's when you're an adult, around 27, 28, that age. Legally, yeah, you're an adult at 18, 20, but no, you're not really an adult till you're.
Some want them to vote for the president starting at 16 years old before they've even taken a class in government.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Yeah, he said that is a little crazy.
Yeah.
So he's saying the biggest part is healing the wounds within yourselves, and not having that that fear in your picture of reality. Because he's showing me like how, like say maybe some African American family where their young man or their teenagers going out for the night, those parents are coaching them on what to do and what not to do, as a way of cautioning, and it's putting fear. They walk out that door fearing that it's going to happen, and that's what's possible for them to bring to themselves.
Well, maybe if we had told him when a cop comes to stops you, hands on the wheel, yes officer, yes officer, yes officer. You have to do that, otherwise one might be triggered to do what Hayward did. So.
Yeah, he's saying there needs to be balance. Yes, they do need to have awareness, but it needs to be in a way so that they're not projecting it out in a fearful way. So that
hey, you're going to be fine, but here's kind of like the custom. The custom is to do this.
Exactly. So what do you think? Would you like to do that short little prayer meditation and go see Erik for a little bit and see what comes up?
Sure, but I also want to ask, I think about also the officers that are not involved in police brutality, but they get so disrespected from different people in the public. And, it must be just so disheartening because of the few rotten apples in the barrel, I mean, we need to send in some prayers and love and light, because what they do in many cases is so dangerous for us. And I hate for them to be shown disrespect for something that they are not responsible for,
Exactly. Erik's saying, yes, you're exactly right. And he's saying, and that's the other part with the media, because there are so many good things they do that they do not show. We had here on our local news it was last year or the year before, where they did show something. It was just adorable. This cute little old lady with a shopping bag, maybe 80, 85 years old. She calls 911 for somebody to help her cross the street. And there you see this big burly cop show up, and she takes his arm and he walks her across the street. Stuff like that. Erik is saying, why? Because plenty of that happens. Why can't they show us stuff like that?
I've watched lots of YouTubes of, family's house burned down and they lost all the Christmas presents. And so the cops quickly went out and shopped for a bunch of new stuff and gave it to them. It's like, nice.
Yeah. Erik is telling me that's what the majority is like.
Yeah. Like I want to ask one question that's completely, what? I want to ask an unrelated question. I can't remember who, one of the mediums told me that you are working on becoming an ascended master. Now, of course, that reminds me of people who go through past life regression, and they are George Washington or, Alexander the Great or whatever. It's like, really? So are you?
Erik?
And what is that anyway?
Well, okay. So Erik is saying,
it's okay if you're not. I don't care. I mean, you're my boy. I love you no matter what.
Erik has reached his mastery. He's saying, I've reached my mastery um, he's saying, like for myself, I've reached the mastery that I can reach with my energetic level at this time on this planet,
Mhm.
as you have. And he's saying from his dimension, he has reached mastery also, where he's learned all these things. He's like, it's like a graduation. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
He's learned his lessons, he's graduated them, he's integrated them. And because of what he's doing, it's helping with his ascension. So he is becoming what it's like, what he's making me feel like. And he's saying you've got a big part to do with this too, with the twin flame connection. He's saying because his energy is becoming more like that of an ascended master, he is reaching that level. He's reaching like the level of Archangel Michael and of Christ, and with those are ascended masters.
Well, we don't have to have
Master
labels.
teachers, that's what might be a better term.
Okay.
A
Well,
master teacher.
master teacher. So how do you do that? It's like you go online, phoenix.edu or online
He
courses. I'm kidding.
he's he says it's been, we don't, the learning and the education doesn't continue or doesn't stop once you've passed over. Areas you're interested in, you continue to learn. He said it's like learning a skill, like playing a musical instrument. Eventually you obtain mastery over it.
Ugh, no homework,
So,
please. And I'm not going to do any research papers over there. Forget it.
yeah, no, he says it's always like about something you love, and it's thrilling, and it's fun to learn.
What do you do? Do you just absorb the knowledge, or do you do? Is it what?
It's a combination of he's showing me like they look uh like a big professor at a college, but it's like a big outdoor stadium kind of thing
Okay.
where other beings are there, and they're giving maybe a speech on something, say it was playing an instrument or making music, that kind of thing, or affecting other people's vibration with that music. They would give like seminars that people who are interested in would attend. And so there's a variety of kind of things that they can do to learn and mold what they want to know, to continue their journey from the other side.
Is part of it what you do to help other people here on the earthly plane,
Yeah.
or over there in your reality?
Yes, he says I would have to say my main job, if you want to call it that, is being a bridge between the material world and the spiritual world.
Okay.
Offer others hope. And because so many other people before we started making these videos, Mom, didn't even know this kind of thing was possible, he's saying it. So he's saying I'm offering a lot of hope. And he's also showing people, he's planting seeds, and he's empowering people to start doing some of these things on their own, learning that they can connect with their own deceased relatives, or that they can use their unique spiritual abilities to help another individual heal, that kind of thing, and themselves.
Well, that's awesome. So, when you are an ascended teacher, master, whatever, do you have other abilities, or like it's not just about nudging a human? Can you like save somebody from a car crash like the angels can, or I don't know? I mean, is there anything different once you're at that energy level?
He's saying he's clear, he's more accessible to people, and it can be more instantaneous
Hmm.
when there's a need. Like he's using this for an example. He did this with me one time. I was just having an emotional moment, and just being tired with the channeling and trying to work a regular job, and just wondering if I could really do it. And I just kind of lost it. I just started crying.
Yeah.
He's right here in my face. I mean, I can hear him right here. It's all right. It's all right. I promise it's going to be all right.
Oh,
Everybody goes through this. It reminded me, it felt like he was upset because I was upset. He was just there immediately trying to provide such comfort. So he's just so clear and so able to get to people. And he says it's just very easy for him to access knowledge now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, does that look like a little angel to you?
That is a little angel. Yeah. Yeah. I always see him at the age, around when he transitioned, and the thing I recognize the most about Erik is the personality.
Oh,
That's what comes through the most. You know,
okay, you ready for the? Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get started
I like
then.
your scarf. It's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. I've been
It's
shopping
really
lately. I
good.
got to brighten things up because I'm retiring. I don't have to wear scrubs 24/7 anymore.
No,
Yeah.
it looks great. It looks really great. You can pull off scarf so well. Me, no, I look horrible in every single hat. Everybody agrees. I cannot wear hats. It's so God, it looks so awful. All right, go ahead.
Really? Okay. All right. So this is just going to be a little bit
Oh my
short.
God, is that your wine glass? Man, are you going to celebrate your retirement that early? Dang, fill it up with a margarita and see how long you last.
This is actually called a practitioner's bowl, and it's just a little easier to hang on to. But the other thing is when I'm playing it, like say I have someone on my massage table, I can play sound right into their spine.
Ooh,
And it's
not
really
that.
healing, and it runs energy down their
Cool.
legs and their body. So yeah.
Yeah, but listen, if you fill it up with a margarita, you don't have to sip it. You just take the other end. That'd be awesome.
Oh no, it's not. It doesn't go all the way through.
Oh, well, I'm just kidding.
If
But you have to rim both sides with salt, I guess. Okay.
I would need to have multiple people over to come help me get
Yeah.
margarita. Maybe we'll do that sometime. Okay, so you ready to get started?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so just excuse yourself from everything around you, except for these words and the voice that carries them. And take your attention into your feet. Imagine them getting warm and heavy and relaxed, losing all feeling, warm and heavy, so relaxed and so comfortable. And now send that warm feeling up to your ankles. Mentally send that heavy, warm feeling up into your ankles, becoming so heavy and warm and relaxed. Just imagine all feelings in your ankles melting away, oozing off your pores. Now that feeling inches its way into your knees and into your calves and shins, becoming warm and heavy, so relaxed, so comfortable, losing all feeling in your lower legs, becoming limp like a wet cloth, no feeling whatsoever in your lower legs. And now send that feeling up through your upper legs. Relax your thighs, front and back, becoming warm and heavy, loose and limp. So comfortable. Imagine all feeling leaving your upper legs, oozing off your legs like steam, drifting away further and further away. And now take your attention into your pelvis and send that heavy, warm feeling all the way up through your pelvis, becoming warm, feelings melting away like butter, and up into your waist. And now that feeling oozes up into your ribs and your chest, front and back, heavy, warm, loose and limp, ribs relaxing more and more. Just losing all feeling. And now that heavy, warm feeling inches its way up further into warmer, more and more relaxed and comfortable. And with each breath that you take, that feeling increases. And now That feeling floats up into your shoulders and down through your hands and your fingers, becoming heavy and warm, losing all feelings, becoming limp like a rag doll. And now your neck relaxes, keeping it exerted only enough to keep your head in position, becoming heavier and heavier, warmer and warmer. So relaxed and so comfortable, all feeling in your neck just drifts away. And that feeling continues to move up, and your jaw relaxes and your lips relax. And it inches its way up into your cheeks and into your eyes. And now into your ears. Imagine that your ears are even drooping under their own weight. So heavy, so warm, and so relaxed. And now that feeling moves to the top of your head as your eyebrows relax. Your forehead relaxes and your scalp relaxes, becoming heavy, warm, limp, and relaxed. All feelings drifting away, drifting further into meditation. And all of your muscles are so profoundly relaxed that they feel as though they're beginning to turn into jelly. In a moment, I'm going to increase this feeling of profound relaxation even further. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. With each number that I count, allow yourself to go deeper and deeper relaxed. 10, relaxation beginning to double. 9, drifting further and further down. 8, becoming heavier and heavier. 7, losing all feeling. 6, your entire body is becoming more and more deeply relaxed. 5, heavier and heavier. 4, drifting down further and further. 3, almost there. 2, all feelings leaving your body. Imagine it oozing up your pores like steam. And 1, there you go, all the way deeply into meditation. Now your whole body is extremely relaxed, and we're going to concentrate on certain areas in order to increase this feeling of profound relaxation even more. Pay close attention to the sensations in your arms. By now, your hands and feet will have become somewhat warm due to the increased circulation of blood in them. Tune into this feeling of slight warmth. Don't try to make it happen. Allow your arms to feel extremely heavy and completely limp. Feel this growing sensation of warmth spreading out your fingertips. Concentrate closely on your hands and arms. Allow the feeling of pleasant heaviness and warmth to increase by itself. Simply observe the process and encourage it. And now let those same feelings of heaviness and warmth spread through your legs. Concentrate closely on the sensations in your legs and let them become very, very heavy. Very heavy and very warm. Arms and legs becoming so heavy, so warm, your entire body is profoundly relaxed, and you feel only a pleasant overall sensation of heaviness, warmth, and absolute peace. And now turn your attention to your breathing, and without interfering with your breathing in any way, simply begin to observe it. Feel the slow, peaceful rise and fall of your stomach as the breath moves slowly in and out of your body. Don't try to hurry it up or slow it down. Just act as a casual observer, taking a curious interest in this slow, steady process. Imagine you have just discovered it, this steady rising and falling of your stomach, and are observing it with curiosity and respect. Wait patiently for each breath to arrive and notice its passing. Notice the brief periods of quiet before one breath passes and before the next one arrives. So now, Elisa, ask Erik to join you from where you are sitting because your consciousness has shifted to fifth dimensional awareness. And if you could shake your head and ask and let me know when you have an awareness of its presence with you. Okay. Now, I would like everybody at home and Elisa and Erik to join us and to begin to use your imagination to bring into existence a picture of reality for self and earth where there is peace, love, divine justice, and racial harmony as normal experience. And as you ponder this reality, call the circle of angels that perpetually surrounds the earth and envelops it in a cocoon of divine love to come forward. Now visualize, imagine, or feel this, and imagine two angels part and that you step in between them. Imagine that you are now standing wing to arm on each side if you want to imagine angels having wings. And Elisa, for you and Erik stay together in this circle. And you have Erik on one side and an angel on the other. And now this circle of angels sits above the earth, and the earth is small at the center of this circle of angels. Now, we are going to invite all of those in spirit form that are of the light who have transitioned as a result of racial violence or police involved incident or injustice to step forward and join us in this circle of angels. And now call forward the energies of any police officers that have died in the line of duty and ask them to also find a place within this circle of angels and feel your energy expand. And now we call forth Archangel Michael to step into this circle and join us in this prayer. Now, the angel next to you places one hand on your heart and joins her or his other hand with the hand of the Creator. The angels are using our physical bodies as a vessel to allow the love of God to flow into the angel's hand, into and through our hearts, through our bodies, down our legs, anchoring divine love onto the planet. And we join in prayer with the circle of angels. Please, God, allow love and healing to flow into the hearts of everyone on earth, especially those who are carrying pain or injustice or racial profiling or any of the things we've discussed today. Please, God, cocoon everyone in divine love. Feel divine love and serenity streaming from the Creator into the angel's hand and into your heart. Let it expand in your body, upward through the 12 dimensions, and simultaneously down your legs, through the bottoms of your feet, and into the center of the earth, anchoring it to the planet. And when that feels firmly anchored, Elisa, let me know, and we'll talk to Erik and see what he has to say. Okay, Erik, do you have anything you can add? to our conversation on police brutality today?
He's whispering something in my ear, but I can't hear it. I don't know what he's saying. Oh, let go, maybe, of the thing with Hayward. Is that it?
Yeah, you know what? I was just going to tell you. I'm hearing he's asking you to let go and to say, you could even say it out loud and it would liberate it from your field. I forgive you, Officer Hayward.
Okay, I forgive you, Officer Hayward.
Did you feel your energy shift?
Yeah.
I did too. Let it go. Let it go. That's what Eric keeps saying. Let it go. Anything that's happened in the past, leave it in the past and open a new doorway where you see love and light and not pain and injustice. Because once you can do that and once you can really forgive, that's what you broadcast out and that's what you create. Eric's telling me he's come to a place of forgiveness and understanding with that officer as well.
That's good.
He's also asking me to talk a little bit about sometimes on this planet, we think others have gotten away with something because they haven't been caught, or that the officer that was involved in the shooting that wasn't appropriate was not prosecuted. But Eric is telling me that there is divine justice, that they, an officer that does something like that in their life, they draw a lot of things into their life that we would not want. And he says if it doesn't happen while they're here on this planet, they have to atone for it on the other side. Not that God is a punishing God, but they get to experience what they put other people through, and they have to heal that wound. Is there anything else Eric would like to add, Elisa, or do you have any questions for him?
Well, he said that they may have contributed to his early exit, but he was going to eventually exit anyway, just maybe later on in his 20s because of the contract. So,
Was there, for you, Eric, was there a specific thing, a fear of police or a fear of authority figure, or maybe a past life incident um, where you had this kind of thing happen in your life?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Hmm?
Are you getting anything?
No. Sometimes people do. This is what I'm getting, and let me know if he confirms this. Sometimes people will pick an experience that, from a human perspective, might just look awful, but they're doing it for the higher good. And so sometimes people will pick an experience to go through so that they have that ability to use that in their tool of just like their toolbox of discernment, you could say. And so it feels like it might have been something like that. So it could be something similar to like, say maybe a nurse that works in OB that had maybe a birth that maybe the infant didn't live. That nurse wanted to experience that so that she could have compassion for her patients, even though from a human perspective she doesn't understand this, but she picked it before she incarnated. So I'm kind of wondering if it wasn't something like that for Eric, that or he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Was it the first one, Eric? He's nodding yes.
Yes. So he chose to go through that experience to help others. And and to help others to shift this, because anybody who follows this meditation and or this prayer, and it's pretty quick, we kept it quick for a reason so that it wouldn't be difficult for people to do it. He said if you have trouble with it, do it more than once, but once you clear this within your field, that it's going to make a big impact and help many.
Love you, Erik.
He loves you so much. And so he's just, for what I'm understanding to bring through, is he's really saying it's all about your perception, what you perceive through your third eye, you know, what your previous beliefs and stories and everything that you've formed your picture of reality, how it works. You broadcast that out. That's your sixth chakra. They work together to the number 8. Your second chakra, which is your sacrum, which is your magnetic body, draws that into your experience. And so to forgive eliminates that potential from happening. And to pray, if there is an individual, say if you did know of a police officer that was behaving in a way that wasn't what we would consider ethical, to pray for that individual, because they either want, number one, receive your love and light and change their ways, or number two, it sheds light and magnifies what they are doing so that they are caught and stopped. And again, Erik reminds me that's a very small percentage that happens. The majority of police officers are loving individuals who went into it with the ideals of helping. And so we're going to ask Erik today do you have any more questions, Elisa, or anything else you'd want to talk to him about? We're going to ask you, before I emerge you, to continue to stay with you like he has been the last few times.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about some of the things you've noticed after these sessions when he stayed near you? Are there any things that stick out in your mind?
I think I can recognize his energy better than I could before. Before I put a wall up because his energy probably triggered grief, but now I feel my boy, his energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And he's telling me, as he was the way I was describing, the way Whitney was describing how the music would would tell us the intensity of the message. He's saying that he can put a charge on your field so that you'll feel him like that, like a charge of energy, like running through your legs and arms. Yes. Okay, well, when you're ready, just imagine dropping an anchor through your feet into the earth. And I want you to also make a simultaneous connection all the way up to the diamond chakra, the gold, the silver, purple at the top of your head, third eye, dark blue into the throat, a light blue, emerald at the heart, yellow at the solar plexus, orange at the sacrum, ruby at the root, down through the feet and into the earth, and then back up through your solar plexus, making the figure 8 or infinity. And Erik says, as above, so below. And when you're ready, when all that feels complete, go ahead and open your eyes.
I had to visualize the teal and magenta and the earth too.
Mm-hmm. It's just always a good practice just to ground what you just did.
Yes.
So that it's solid.
Awesome. I love you, Erik.
He says, I love you, Mama. That was so much fun.
That was fun. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Well, one thing is, thank you so much, Kim. You guys need to check her out, really. She can do so many things to help you. Her site is embody-light.com, and I'll put it here. But thank you, everyone. I love you. There was one other thing I was going to say, but I'm getting old. I forgot. Oh, well.
We'll see you in a second. Okay. All right. Love you too. Eric says, love you, Mama. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.